All right, hot off the press, fresh back from the range with the 280 Ackley Improved in Thompson Center Encore. Two things. One, definitely putting a muzzle brake on this thing because it beat the snot out of me. Dude, what the crap? And two, I'm definitely keeping this rifle. No question about it. This one is going in the top echelon of my safe. Like, for reals. 280 Ackley Improved. This is my first impressions with this. I went to the range today. Got a very short range session in. The thunderstorms moved in and chased us off, so I didn't get to do nearly as much shooting as I wanted to, but I really like what happened at the range today with this rifle in the first 20 shots that I put through it. Color me impressed. Let's talk about that. All right, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me again today. I want to talk about my Thompson Center Encore and 280 Ackley Improved. As I said, these are my first shots out of this gun. The first 20 rounds, I think I got through about, let's see, we did 3 shots of the Hornady, and we did 10 shots of the Federal Premium Terminal Ascent. So 13 shots. I got 13 shots into this one, and brother, I am impressed. I only got to shoot 2 groups while I was out there. I did a rough 0, and then I shot 2 groups, and then I did some long range shooting at 850 yards. And it was dead on at 850 yards. I can roll that footage in here, but it took me a little bit to get my windage down. The winds were switching, storm was moving in, that kind of thing, so I was overcompensating. I'm using the actual SWFA V2 mil quad reticle, so it has some little subtensions and stuff like that, little dots for windage and stuff, and I was kind of guessing. I didn't actually look at my app, and that's my bad. But once towards the end, I decided, it's only about a switching 3 to 5 mile an hour front to quartering wind, so let's just hey diddle diddle right up the middle, and then I started putting shots right in between my uprights out there. So I have 2 uprights. They're about 12, 13 inches apart, and there's a little clump of grass right in the middle of them, so that's kind of my 850 yard target when I'm too lazy to take metal out there. We had a storm moving in, so I didn't want to take metal out there today, so I just started taking some shots. I had a backup cameraman today. He was with me, so that was actually really nice to have somebody who could film those long shots for me with his phone. And man, dead on. And that was with the Federal Terminal Ascent. So let me talk about what I got out of this thing today after zeroing. Besides the bruise, I got beat up. This one was, I need to put a brake on this. The 280 Ackley, it wasn't kicking that bad. It's just that I was so low on the bipods, and I just couldn't wrap my head around getting a better position built because we were kind of rushing, trying to get this done before the storm moved in, that I was catching the, this thing's got a high cheek piece low comb on the back here, so I was catching this part right here directly on a raw bone, a raw clavicle bone there with no padding whatsoever. I didn't start feeling it until about 10 shots in, and I was like, all right, this is getting pretty spicy. So I'm gonna put a muzzle brake on this thing, but I did want to shoot this gun without a muzzle brake first, just to see what it's gonna be like, what the 280 Ackley is in the raw, like on a 9-pound rifle. And it's pretty spicy. It kicks, not like a Magnum, but it does kick. It's a 30-06 style rifle, 30-06 style case and cartridge family, so it kicks pretty good. It's more than a 308, more than a 6.5 Creedmoor for sure, but pretty sure once I get a muzzle brake on that thing, put the can on there, it's gonna smooth all those wrinkles right out, no problem. I don't foresee it being a problem to shoot accurately, obviously, with the results I got. So I fired 2 rounds to foul the barrel and get my rough 0 in. By then I was pretty much on the dot where I wanted to be. The first round I tried was actually the Federal Terminal Ascent 155 grain load, straight from the factory. Got it here at Cal Ranch, right up the road. In the first group I tried, 3-shot group, was 0.687 minutes of angle, or thereabouts. Hold on, let me look. 0.678 minutes of angle. Stringing a little left to right. I'm gonna attribute that mostly to me just moving around, trying to get a good steady position, and I didn't bring my proper rear bag, so I was using some rolled up gloves today. Wasn't the best position in the world, but I still managed to pull off a pretty darn decent sub-minute group for the first 3-round group I fired out of this rifle. That's rounds number 3, 4, and 5 total out of a fresh barrel, and this is a match grade machine barrel, so I'm gonna say right off the bat, match grade machine makes a fantastic barrel. There's nothing in this from what I shot today and saw with just the first 13 rounds going through it that would make me think I'm gonna have any problems taking this rifle to extreme levels of precision, like laser beam levels of precision and velocity. So let's carry on with that. Federal Terminal Ascent, 155 grain, 0.678 minutes of angle at 2,950 feet per second average. Now it is like 95 degrees today. It's very hot. The box posted velocity on this is 2930. So I was about 20 feet per second higher than the average. The standard deviations, actually I strung 2 groups with this. So I had a 6.6 group for the first 5 rounds, and I had a, the first 5 rounds I had a 2,955 foot per second average. And then the next 5 rounds I did another group with that. The standard deviation on the first group was 6.6 feet per second, like the standard deviation, 6.6 out of factory ammo. The second group I shot, group of 5, standard deviation, 7.3. 7.3 standard deviation. That was the second string I shot. All of those were at long range. That second string of 5 rounds was all at long range. So the first 5 was getting on target and then shooting a group, and the second 5 rounds long range. And this was once the gun heated up. I'd shot a group in between there of Hornady, and once the gun got good and hot, I just started blasting it 850 yards just to see what would happen, and I like what the results I got. So, all right, the least impressive of the group though, of the day though, is the Hornady. Although it was the best group. So I shot another 3-shot group with Hornady just to test it out, and I got a 0.508 minute of angle group. The first 3-shot group I shot out of this box right here. Now Hornady says muzzle velocity of 2,850 feet per second is the average. The average I got was 2,700 feet per second. Some of it was below that, 2,640 it went down to. So while the group was awesome, half a minute of angle, that was fantastic at 100 yards. I mean, the first 2 shots, I'm like, where did they go? I had my cameraman, he was actually with his zoomed in phone looking at them, and he was like, no, they're touching. And I'm like, are you sure I didn't whiff one in the dirt? You know, because I was kind of flinching a little bit because it was kind of kicking at that point. He's like, no, they're just touching, that's all. And so I put the third one down there, and it nearly was kissing the other 2, and I was absolutely impressed until I looked at the chronograph. The chronograph is the big disappointment on this one. The standard deviation of 25 and a muzzle velocity average of 2716. I just wrote that, sorry, I wrote that down wrong on here. But the muzzle velocity average is 2716 for the Hornady with a standard deviation of 25. That's pretty typical for Hornady. So the Hornady, in typical Hornady fashion, behave like a Hornady does. Sometimes you get really, really great groups out of them. Velocities are nowhere close to box posted velocities. And this is a full 24-inch barrel. Not impressed with that. I love what I see in the bullet though. Like, so far as the 162 ELD-X, the capability of the bullet for accuracy, so far out of this gun, it's half a minute. It was a half a minute 3-shot group. Would it have been the same after 5 shots? I don't really know. I can do that. I'm gonna do more testing. I have 18 rounds left in here that I'm gonna go out and test once I get the muzzle brake on this thing and shoot with a suppressor and stuff like that. I'm actually gonna go through both of these boxes when I get a better day to shoot, where there's no thunderstorms for moving in, and maybe when it's not close to 100 degrees, I'm gonna go out and do some more testing. But right off the bat, my first impressions with the Thompson Center Encore and the match grade machine barrel and 280 Ackley improved, brother, I'm in. Like, I'm all in. Like, I will keep this sucker now. Like, yeah, okay, it bruised me up, whatever. That's not the first time I've got a bruise from a rifle. You know, that's just part of shooting 30-06 you know, family of cartridges. They kick a little more than your 308s and your 6.5 Crees, definitely more than your 6-ARC. And I've, you know, got a little soft. Been shooting that 6-ARC a little too much in the last few years, so I need to step it up to some big boy stuff. The 7 PRC, let's direct compare it to that. My average velocities with the 7 PRC in the 175 to 180 grain class bullets, my average velocities on the high end with all the reloads and all the factory stuff creep up around 2850. Okay, so maybe close to 2900. I've gotten some of my hand loads close to 2900, maybe slightly over, but they were not accurate at all. The rifle I have, the Bergara that I have in 7 PRC, seems to do best with 175-ish grain bullets to 180 grains, going about 2,800 feet per second out of that 22-inch barrel. So if I had 2 more inches on there, I might get a little bit more out of it. But 2,800 seems to be kind of the sweet spot. 2,850 on the high end, where I can get accuracy with the higher weight bullets. So this guy is obviously shooting 155 grain bullet, is a lot lighter than 175, 20 grains lighter, and it is going about 100 feet per second faster than my 7 PRC. So it does beat it in velocity, not with grain weight. I'm gonna push this with some 175s and some 168s and maybe even some 180s and see how far I can push the velocities. If I can get them up anywhere near the 2,800 feet per second mark with this rifle, I'll be more than pleased. That would be close to what my 7 PRC does in a lighter kicking package, because I've shot my P7 PRC without the brake on it before. It was rough. Like it was stout, and I'm not a recoil sensitive person, but I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy shooting rifles that beat you up, and it was not fun to shoot without the brake on it. So the 7 PRC with a brake on is a lot more tame. I'm assuming that this is gonna feel like a kitty cat whenever I put a brake on this thing and put the suppressor on there. It's not gonna be a big deal. And build a better position, and don't make sure that the heel of your rifle is not directly on the bone and nothing else, and there's nothing but a thin little t-shirt in between you and your bone and your rifle, because yeah, it kicks a little more than a six arc does. But I like it. I'm all in. I think I'm gonna keep this. The SWFA Gen 2 3 to 15 power is what I have on here right now, Milk Quad scope. I really like that scope. After shooting it today on this rifle, it feels and it balances really well in this gun. It's 9 pounds overall, so it's not super lightweight, but it isn't stupid heavy either. This is still comfortable enough to carry around. So I think with a little bit of tuning so far as load goes, and a muzzle brake, maybe put the suppressor on there, this is gonna be a sweetheart of a rifle that I think I could enjoy for many years to come, and I cannot wait to get a tag to go out and take something with this sucker. Because if I had to today, if I had to take just as what I have right now, without a muzzle brake or anything, and go out to the woods and take a shot at an elk with this thing at 500 yards, based on what I saw today, I would do it today. I would grab this box of ammo right here, the Federal 155 grain, and I would go do it right now. If somebody said to me, hey, here's your tag, go take game, let's go. I don't often feel that way about rifles right off the bat. I've had rifles that I've put together and I started shooting, and they were really sweet shooters right off the bat, but I had to kind of work them into that sub-minute range or down into that half-minute range, 3/4 minute, whatever. First 2 groups out of this gun were under 3/4 of a minute. I'm a believer in match grade machine. I'm a believer in the Thompson Center Encore, and I'm definitely a believer in the 280 Ackley Improved. Thank y'all for joining me again. Let me know what you think. Get in the comments below. I've got way more content coming out on this thing. I'm gonna get out into the range and do a lot more shooting over the coming weeks. Put some direct comparisons with my 7 PRC down. Maybe even start working up some hand loads for this thing. I've got 2 more boxes coming of factory ammo. The 168 grain Burger Elite Hunters coming from Federal. So I'm really excited to try those out. They're gonna be on the heavier end of things. Let's see how it works with that. And if that works really well, I think that's what I'm gonna stick with. If I can get a 168 grain bullet coming out of this thing close to 2,900 feet per second, brother, I'm in. All right, y'all be blessed. Keep your knives sharp, your powder dry, and your bandoliers loaded. Y'all have a good day.